Thanks for tuning in, and welcome back to the inside of the box. This is our 2013 Mitsubishi Fuso FG that I'm turning into an overland camper. And now that the struggles with the engine not running are finally over, I can get back to building the inside. One of the many unfinished projects in here is the bed. This bed is designed to be down when we're using it, but lift to the ceiling when we need more space. So that is what I'm going to be continuing on today. So how do we get this up there when we're not using it? Well, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you may recall that I picked up 4 of these pneumatic cylinders. The idea being with one in each corner of the bed, we can lift this entire platform and lower it quite easily. So with needing to mount these pneumatic cylinders to the Tslot extrusion, you've probably guessed my next move: opening up CAD, designing, and 3D printing some mounts. So here's the idea. The base fits on to the bottom of the cylinder. This is where the pneumatic line will come in, so we've got a little cutout. With the base on the cylinder, the entire assembly drops into the corner. With 2 bolts into the Tslot extrusion, the base of the cylinder is basically trapped in the corner and can't move. Now that does present a little bit of a problem for me because I got a bit ahead of myself in building this and I don't have any Tslot nuts installed to capture the bolts, which means I have to take some stuff apart. In order to get the Tslot nuts into the track, I do need to disassemble this part here so that I can slide them in from the end. Previously, I would have done this using my cordless drill, but today, we're going to try a new toy. I'd say that works really well. Now, if we look at this cordless ratchet and the diameter of the head that's on there, compared to what you'd be working with for a drill, it's clear as to why this does a much nicer job of getting into the tight spaces. I think I can actually get rid of my wobble extension at this point because that diameter gets me right in to any of the corners that I need to work with. Now that I've got this undone, I can gently slip this apart, pop this up, and then I can slide a couple of these nuts down into here. Now you'll notice, normally, or at least previously, when installing these into the channels, I would have used a nut slug. Ew. Because all of these are sitting on the top surface, I don't think I really need them, and this is going to make it much easier for me to slide them to the position where I need them. So after loading this T-slot up with 6, I can reassemble this corner. And then pop this corner apart, hopefully easily. Just enough to pop 3 of them in here. And this can go back together. And I can put those bolts back in. Again, one of the nice things about assembling furniture out of Tslot, I can simply add more nuts, and now I can add more structure. Now I've just got to do the same at the other 3 corners. And let's just say, through the magic of editing, they're all in there now. Now earlier on, when I showed you the placement of the first pneumatic cylinder, you may have noticed that the alignment to the airport was slightly off.
Yes, but which airport?
And if there aren't enough great things about 3D printing, that's one of them. That was my prototype. I've actually printed my finals in PETG or carbon fiber, and I've enlarged the hole so we have a lot more room around that port. Now that we've done a test fit and I've printed all 4 finals, I can install them. Well, it's virtually impossible for me to get a good camera angle to show you the install on this one, and this one. I can at least attempt to get a good angle to show you this one. Well, I'll try my best. So I've got 2 of the nuts installed here, and as I mentioned, the issue with these on their own, here's where we run into trouble with a shot, is these can sit on an angle. And that's why I created the nut slugs to hold everything straight and flat and keep them in place. But because this is on a horizontal, it's pretty easy to get them to sit flat for long enough to put the part over top and bolt it in. Now it is easier to get everything exactly lined up before trying to bolt it down, so I think that's in the right spot. It has gone a little bit crooked again. So I will try to level it out. I'm going to put these together loosely, both in loose before I tighten anything down, because sometimes if you tighten one down, you can't get the second one to line up. And that has bitten in. So that's in but loose. And then see if I can get the second one to go in. That's in but loose. Now I can get my final position pushed right into the corner. And I'm gonna finish it off with my ratchet. I could have done that without the extension, but down in beside this is just easier. And now we can see, if we install the cylinder, it's held into the corner and we've got the nice cutout for the airline. Now you may be wondering why I've decided to do this with air cylinders instead of electric ones. Well, here's my theory. Because I will have 4 independent locations lifting one platform, they have to all remain exactly in sync. While of course it is possible to synchronize 4 electric actuators so that they all lift at the same speed, it's not as easy as I think it's going to be with air. With 4 air cylinders all connected to one source, all 4 should be receiving the same pressure. If one of them happens to stick or not extend, it should see a reduced load, which would mean it would take less pressure to move it up to catch up. Or in other words, if one gets left behind, it should be able to catch up when the load on it gets reduced. I don't think that would happen with electric actuators, as the voltage wouldn't change, just the amount of current being drawn. Now that doesn't mean that this type of system won't have problems or complexities. Clearly, I've got a lot more to go here. Right now, I have the base held in place. I still need to make sure that the top can't move around. And as I'm sure you've also noticed, these cylinders are already way above the bed. And that is because my intent here is to have a strap coming over top and then running back down. This way, as the cylinder goes up, it will pull up on the strap going over a roller, which means I can get twice the height of the cylinder in an actual lift. Where on earth did I get that idea from? I think if it can lift a vehicle, it'll lift a bed. Now that means I've got to attach a strap somewhere to go over the roller, and clearly I don't have a lot of clearance to go down the back. So I've designed and printed this 3D part that should hold the strap to the top of the cylinder. Don't worry, I've done some math and it should work. This little gap that passes underneath the back of the bracket lines up with a little bit of a gap between the cylinder and this bracket. Allows a 1-inch webbing strap to pass around that. And here's where I ran into a little bit of a problem, which you may notice by my clothing. This is not the same day as I started the beginning of this video. You see, my plan had been to make a bracket to mount on top of this using the 4 screws, which would then tie this to the wall. And herein lie the problems. I need to keep the cylinder all the way tight to the wall, which means the bracket needs to overhang the printed piece. But the printed piece and the hardware go all the way to the edges, which means there's no space left to attach the bracket. But after a lot of thinking last night and looking at this piece of box tube and those cylinders, I think I have it figured out. My initial thought was to take the box tube and slide it over top of the cylinder. And this almost works. The outside diameter of the top of that cylinder, which is square, is 45 millimeters. The inside diameter of this is 44. Just not quite. However, if we look at the thickness of the wall on this box tube and the offset between the threaded rods holding it together and the outside edge, it's completely flush. That means we can make this bracket fit below the top while keeping the cylinder completely flush with the wall on both corners. And that should give us enough surface area to mount the bracket to the wall while still allowing us to install and remove the cylinder should anything go wrong with the cylinder in the future. Now, while most of the force on these cylinders will be up and down, there will be some sideways force because the strap is coming off this side before it goes down to the bed frame. This means I need to have the most strength in that bracket from pulling it off the wall like this, which means I can have an open side over there. So that means I need to turn this box effectively into a C. And if you're having a little bit of trouble understanding how I'm going to turn a box tube into a C, well, just wait, you'll see. And with the C temporarily held in place with tape, I can then slip the cylinder into the bracket and drop it all the way down into the base. Now, if you're curious as to why I left the little lip on the return there, I will now be able to, with the right size piece, this is just a scrap, slide a tab up in here that would be captured by both of those lips to keep the cylinder from coming back out this way. Now we do still have a little bit of play back and forth this way, so I'll do the same thing and I'll make a shim that slips up from underneath to hold the cylinder tight into the back corner. Actually, I think I've just had a better idea. Hang on a minute. Right, well, it takes a little bit longer to rebuild something out of aluminum than it does to redraw it on a computer and reprint it, but I think this is slightly better now. I've actually put all of the lip on the back side and none of it on the front. So the cylinder can still go in the same way. Slip it in here, lower it down into the base. But now I can take a section of angle and slip it in from the bottom and hopefully have enough room to secure it here and here to lock the cylinder in place. I think that, along with some 3D printed shims stuck on the back side of that angle, will keep everything snug and secure and stop it from rattling around. And of course, that brings up the next question. How do I attach these brackets to the wall? I could use VHB tape, I could use Sikaflex, I could put rib nuts into the wall, I could do a combination of all three of those. But my problem right now is it's too cold to have any kind of adhesive work in here. Now I do have a possible solution for this in that I've got a small heater down there running on the floor, but it will take quite a bit of time for the temperature to come up in here for me to know that I'm comfortable using an adhesive. Now, the temperature in my shop is only a couple of degrees above freezing, but it shouldn't be too hard to get the temperature to come up in here using that little heater, and seeing as this is an insulated box, it should be fairly stable. What I need is a way of measuring the temperature, and I'm trying out this, which is a little wireless temperature sensor, which I should be able to read from in my house. So I can monitor the temperature in this space without coming in and opening the door. If that little heater is able to heat up the space so that the walls are at a good temperature for bonding, then I might be able to continue on. But for now, that is as far as I'm getting today. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Hit that hype button if you see it in the first 7 days. Don't forget to check out the other videos on this channel, but most importantly, come back next time. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.
This isn't the airport.